There's probably some scenes that I'd rewrite and like plot differently, but overall, I'm like book one. I don't think I would change at all. I think book one to me is basically perfect, and I still can't believe that I actually wrote it. So I've actually reread parts of it, and I'm just like, I wrote that? Huh? I wrote that in like 2 months?
This is the Crit RPG Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Lit RPG, progression fantasy, and Royal Road. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Crit RPG Podcast, the only podcast that is brave enough to ask, what's the big D? With me today is Casual Farmer. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I've always we spoke about this before the podcast started. Like that, I always ask people how they're doing twice. Once for the Patreon show, which is like half an hour already, and then the other part where like this is now, just so that we have like some sort of like intro to the main show. But yeah, thanks for coming by and answering my question twice.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, there you go. So, as people might be shocked to find out, is that you actually are a chicken.
Yes,
I didn't
am. You
know
can
that
see.
before.
Buck, 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 buck.
Absolutely. Oh my god! I just got that.
You know the funny part? I didn't realize when I was writing it either that BOC spelled buck. Just a happy accident.
Absolutely, chanting Bob Ross like yes. Oh god, but that is insane. Pretty good, pretty damn good. Okay, but again, like, tell me more about how Beware of Chicken actually came to be. How did you write it, and how did you start out?
So how it came to be is actually I was going through a thread that was like story prompts, and one of the story prompts was literally the cultivator fucks off and becomes a farmer, and I went, I can work with this. So the first thing that instantly popped into my mind was the cultivator goes off and becomes a farmer, but no, it'd be really funny if his chicken turned into a cultivator and was like super like powerful and like thought he was this the person he was serving was this awesome master. Meanwhile, the guy he was serving just didn't care. He was just like, I'm in my zone, I'm farming, I love it. And so I started writing Beware of Chicken. I did the first 3 chapters in like 2 days, and then I sat on it for a couple of weeks because I was like, do I really want to post this? Because I wasn't feeling too great at the time. I was a bit sick. And so eventually I posted the first 3 chapters, and then so originally Beware of Chicken was actually supposed to be like smut. Like the entire thing was supposed to be the Chad farmer gets all the cultivator ladies while his chicken goes and does chicken things. But after I posted the first 3 chapters, I was just like, I don't think this works. So I changed it to kind of just. I hate to really use the term subverting the genre, but like instead of like 1,000 Jade Beauties, he goes and gets married in the first book, and then he just really likes his wife. And like then the chicken's doing all the typical John Jay stuff, while the farmer remains just continuing to farm.
Yeah, which is like such a cool little balance, right? Because everyone will tell you about how wholesome the book is, but there are like lots of fight scenes in book 1 already, right?
Yeah, so the first book has Chowji the rat and Sunken the bandit.
Yeah. God damn. Yeah, I remember reading that last year. My God, it's been so long already.
I was writing a chapter a day and posting the same day I finished it.
Jesus. Yeah, like we were talking about your writing schedule already, right? And cutting down on it and kind of mellowing it all down.
Yeah, so I used to do a chapter a day, every day for a week. For the first 2 months, I did that. And then I downgraded to only 4 a week because I was burning out. And then now I'm on 3 because 3 is about the happy medium.
Makes sense. So, I mean, I don't want to like go into too deep, but because it's different for everyone, how did you notice that you were hitting burnout?
So Beware of Chicken. I loved writing Beware of Chicken. because every day again I was so when I first started writing Board Chicken, I was up out of bed at 9, and before I turned into a night owl, the chapter would be done before 11 and it'd be posted, and I'd be super happy with it. And then I realized that the post times were getting later, and I just didn't want to write, and it didn't because the first Board Chicken was again I just loved every second of it, but then towards the end I noticed that I was stopped loving it so much, and I was getting tired, and I was just like, okay, I've got to cut down before I start actively hating this, and then I cut down, and then I started enjoying it again. And
it's weird how that works, right?
yeah,
I mean that's pretty healthy, right? I always like kind of struggle to like really understand what's reasonable. Hey, this plot isn't working, and what's actual like, oh, I don't like the story anymore. It's hard to figure out for me.
yeah. I guess it wasn't even I don't like the story anymore. It's just that I just didn't want to write. I still enjoyed it. I still had so much that I wanted to hit, but I didn't want to do the work to get there, and that was the main problem. And that was the thing that I had to fix. And well, I fixed it.
You did. I'm just trying to relate, but I don't think I've ever gotten to that point where I don't want to write. I always want to write, but just can't. Like I'm just sitting there going like, no,
Yeah.
not anymore. Thank you, not anymore. Okay. But I mean, how long is the series by now?
How long is the series by now? Well, so because one of the books had to be split in two, I'm currently writing book 6 for official release, and I'm on book 5 for just going by Patreon chapters. So
What's
that
the word count?
what's the word count? Over 1 million by now, definitely.
Noise. Oh, pretty
So
cool.
book 1 was I think 180,000. Book 2 and 3 was 500,000 or something like that. Book 4 is about 300,000. And yeah,
Because like I mean, you were writing about like every day for the first couple of months, and then even then, like 3 times a week is still a lot. So, how long are your chapters?
how long are my trips? So
Mm.
normally they're around 2,000. Sometimes they dip to 1,800. Sometimes they go to 5,000 or 6,000. So my chapters are done when I feel they're done. If that's 6,000 words, then it's 6,000 words. If it's 1,800 words, then it's 1,800 words.
How do you determine if you're done?
So how I write is I've got a general outline and I've got plot points that I want to hit. But how I get to those plot points are kind of, I guess, malleable. So when I go into a chapter, I think, how is this going to serve the greater plot? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just okay. I would like to write a slice of life chapter now, and so I write a slice of life chapter. But basically, I don't know. It's really just a gut feeling when it's done. Those chapters are kind of more by the seat of my pants, and it's just kind of like, okay, I want to hit this and this in the chapter. I've hit this and this. Maybe it goes on for a little bit longer, but if it doesn't, then it ends there.
I had like this really weird thought when he was saying like, "Oh, I want to write a slice of life chapter." I've always, like this recurring joke of the, "Oh, let's just write a beach episode. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, right?" Um, so that always gets me because I have a couple of friends, and we all bonded because we write like very very grim and dark stuff, and like lots of like PTSD and internal turmoil and all kind of bullshit. But in the end, we all kind of also want to write something wholesome. And we have one friend who always tries to write something wholesome, and then it's really not. Um, yeah, there's memes. I can send you one later. But the I was joking that when he writes a beach scene or a beach chapter, it would be Omaha Beach. So,
Oh boy.
have you ever thought about writing something grim and dark and like in the future there's no hope?
So I actually think that's probably my natural writing style is the kind of more grim and dark stuff. So
Ooh.
before Beware of Chicken, the only other thing that I've written is it was on a forum called Space Battles. It's called a quest. So basically, the first thing I ever wrote was a choose your own adventure story modified by dice rolls.
Ooh. Which is good.
Yeah, so that was one hell of an introduction to writing, and it got me really used to writing by the seat of my pants and like kind of changing plans on the fly, which I think has really actually helped Beware of Chicken because sometimes the characters just don't develop in the way you expect, and so you have to change like basically everything. And especially the tournament arc changing the way that it did. So originally the stuff that we're hitting now in book 5/6 was supposed to be in the same book as the tournament.
Okay, that's right. That is relatable. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. Okay, but okay, so basically you're just enjoying the fluff, so to say.
Yeah, so like the original quest, it was a little bit dark. So originally it was supposed to be completely dark and brutal, but dice rolls made it like a lot more optimistic than it was originally intended to be. Because the dice rolls were actually like fantastic. So originally, like the main character was the heir of this frontier province that was constantly at war and like everything was crap. Like his grandmother was dying of disease, and like his father was like this absolutely grim man who was this humorless butcher, basically. And like butcher as in butcher of men, not butcher of meat. And then the dice rolls made that one a bit more optimistic as well. But like originally it was like ancient Rome, so like there's like slavery everywhere and all that stuff. It's magical ancient Rome, but yeah. So that was my original writing style, but writing the fluff is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I think keeping the darkness in mind helps make the fluff brighter, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. There's this other story that I write, which is very happy. And I don't really want to promote it all that much because I don't want to hit rising stars with it and like not to be prepared and not have a backlog because we talked about this. we don't want that. I just don't have any time to write right now, right? But what I love about that story is that you can write all the dark stuff, but that just makes it so much more satisfying to then at the end twist it around and go like, ha, gotcha. It's gonna be nice anyway. There's gonna be friendship. Ha. Yeah. So yeah. I enjoy that kind of style because if you're thinking about it, like One Piece, for example, is exactly the same thing. Like you're talking about people like doing war crimes, but then with the power of friendship, everything's fine.
Yeah. Or it's like what Tolkien was saying about how it gets dark, but in the end, the heroes win.
Do you think that's why he hated Dune?
So I've heard a bunch of stuff about that, but he probably I think one of the letters or something about why he hated Dune was because it wasn't fantasy enough. Because his thing for fantasy was again good triumphs. It's a fantasy, good triumphs and stuff, and Dune was too much of the dickbags winning.
Yeah. I think he would have hated Game of Thrones. Everything's just gray.
Yeah.
Gray and immoral. But when we're talking about the gray, the gray masters, the great masters, what's the best advice you've ever gotten as a writer?
The best advice that I've ever gotten as a writer? Well, it actually wasn't from a writer. It's again where I get my kind of philosophy of just do it from. I forget exactly who told me, but it might have been just some random motivational speaker. It's some days it's gonna suck, some days you're gonna hate it. Too bad, do it anyway. And that's what you do. Too bad, do it anyway. And a lot of when I'm having trouble with a chapter, or if it's a point that I'm struggling to write in the story, too bad, do it anyway.
That's pretty good advice. The wise words of Shia LaBeouf, right? Just
do it. Yeah.
God. I don't care what the guy who the guy is behind that or in that video. It's a very, very good video. Like a man just completely in love with the idea of being proactive. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the advice. Whenever anybody asks me for advice, that's the same advice that I'd give to people who ask me. It's because people have asked me for the secret sauce for getting motivated for writing, and I'm just like, there is no secret sauce. You just got to do it.
Yeah. Put ass in chair. I mean, if you're struggling with motivation, like we talked about this before the podcast a little bit, there's certain like neurochemistry you can like look into, and certain techniques, setting. There's a bunch of different options, but in the end, they all boil down to you have to pick one of them and to stick with them.
Yeah.
Right. So for you, deadlines work. For me, routine works. For some other people, it is a ritual that you have to do every time you start writing. Like, I should do not. Like a guy I know, like, makes his tea, and then he prepares his laptop just so, and then he drinks the tea, and after he's done with the cup, he starts writing, and then he doesn't stop until he's done with the chapter. I don't know. There's tons of guides on this stuff, like tons of self-help books on this topic. But in the end, you got to pick one of them, and you got to really want it.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes wanting it isn't enough. What can you do? So, yeah, I don't know. Any other advice you've gotten as a writer that's not just do it? Because that's kind of hard advice to follow.
I think it's hard advice, but unfortunately, nobody else is going to motivate you but yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think that is the main problem. It is in the end. In Beware of Chicken, there's the concept of you face heaven alone, and that kind of thing. And most of the characters don't agree with it, but sometimes I kind of do, because it is accurate. At the end of the day, the only person who can help you a lot of times is yourself. So, like, just do it. You just gotta do it.
Is that kind of your motif for the entire series?
No, that is not the motif. Because sometimes you do need help, of course. And the motif for this series is basically good deed. So just as bad deeds can cascade, so too can good ones.
Okay.
So the main character, Jin, through being a good person and helping other people, they also help other people. And then those people help other people. And then instead of getting into the cultivator rat race and doing things for yourself, the act of wanting to make a better world can happen.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And then I guess my final piece of advice is always have a good pair of socks.
All you gotta have is a good pair of socks. Is like, did I get that right?
Yeah, so it's kind of have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a joke about like always having a good towel, always have a good pair of socks.
I mean, like, yeah, like, no, shit, the joke doesn't work in English, damn it. Okay, yeah.
Yes, it's one of the things also that Jin says to Shilan when she talks to him about what a piece of advice is for her. So yeah.
Yeah. What kind of like inspired you to do all these, like, I mean, like, obviously you said like, okay, yeah, Jaja, right? But what inspired you to write this setting, like, besides the prompt?
Honestly, mostly it was the prompt. So I read the prompt, and then Beware of Chicken exploded from my head. It like it was a stroke of inspiration. It was just like, okay, this works, this works, this works, this is great. I love this. I'm gonna start writing it. So it was Beware of Chicken, and it was like all the Shancha that I've read. Like I've read like Against the Gods and all those, and they're. So I enjoy trash, and I say this lovingly that a lot of them are trash, but I love it. They're the most power fantasy of power fantasies. They're the main character going around cracking everybody across the face with the back of their hand. and just like flexing on everybody, and it's great, and I love it. But I thought writing the opposite of that would be fun. Basically, instead of going from the weakest province climbing to the strongest province, the main character goes from one of the strongest provinces and runs away to one of the weakest. It's kind of like doing everything in reverse. It was kind of
That's
the idea.
awesome. Yeah. Oh my god. Instead of being trained by the chicken, they do train the chicken. Yes, the classic Janja trope. No, but I mean that makes sense. Like I don't think I've ever read like people talk about these like stereotypical Janja novels. I don't think I've ever read one of them. Maybe I just came into the genre too late. Like I'm a relative newcomer. I started reading lit RPG in 2020, so 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think
Jesus.
I think I was like, I think the first one I read was in 2010 or something, or maybe slightly before that. But yeah, so I read Against the Gods, and I think I find that kind of like the most orthodox of Janja because it's got all the tropes. It's got every single trope. The protagonist that was looked down on and called trash by everyone who suddenly ascends to become the superpowered guy. And you repay his kindness and enmity 10 times. And have you seen the meme of the Japanese transmigrator versus the Chinese transmigrator?
No. Okay. So I'm looking at a picture here, and I'm going to describe it a little bit because of the people who are just listening. So on the left side we have the virgin Japanese main character, and it's just like this guy. I think he's from Bleach, maybe a little bit inspired by it.
It'd be probably Kirito from Sword Art Online that he's inspired by.
Oh yeah. Okay, good. I'm not well versed on my animes. I am unfortunately not. Okay, that's not true. I did a lot of anime when I was younger, but I kind of just like I don't have time to read. I also fell out of like anime a while ago. But yeah, so all lowercase, right? It says like isekai, died a 40-year-old virgin, manlet, only grabs titties accidentally, cannot reach the apex, video game powers, banned from actual story contests due to prevalence of shit. Okay. And then it's like the Chad Chinaman. And it goes like clothes formed from pure skill. If reincarnated does not bitch and quickly decides to become the strongest being to ever exist, returns kindness and enmity 10 times over. Fully grown at 10, keeps growing anyway. Okay, that's cool. I really like that. Oh man. Could have literally any woman in the world, turns them down due to high standards. Ooh, we're getting into this territory. Okay. But I mean that's kind of accurate.
It's just dumb. It's a dumb meme to kind of get the gist of it. So it's like cold gleam in his eyes, about to murder billions of people. Like everybody's like, "Oh, haha, that's a joke," and then some in the Janja somebody just blows up a planet just because they don't like it.
Oh god, like I never. I think the closest I came to something like that, to reading something like that, and I do think maybe it's like a mistake I need to fix. I need to maybe get one of these and like push through them. But I think the closest I got, and I mean this in a good way, is Path of Ascension, because I really like that one. It's space isekai, space Janja.
I think I might have read that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It has like this. It's formulaic, but I don't mean this necessarily in a bad way. It has everything you need.
A lot of them are kind of formulaic. You like go to the next realm, you meet the young master. The young master insults you, slaps you across the face a couple times. You get stronger, you slap the young master. The young master's dad takes offense. You slap the young master's dad. The young master's dad's dad takes offense. You slap the young master's dad's dad.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's fucking true. But it's Path of Ascension actually Western. Like it's written by C. Mantis.
Oh, so
like,
then
wow.
I haven't read that one. I was thinking of a different space Janja. Then,
but it's good. Like it's really good. Like if you have time to read, it's one of your like gigantic lists of to be reads that could be on there.
I have such a big list of to be read, and I've gotten to none of it.
And it's I don't know. Like I always feel as though like, okay, if you're not enjoying it, you really shouldn't be doing it. But then again, I always feel like, especially now with like all the other stuff that I'm doing, I really should be reading more because I kind of need to, understand where things are coming from and where the tide's going.
Yeah, definitely. Because I couldn't have written this if I hadn't read other genre, because it's full of the tropes and it's full of stuff like that. Like, again, the noodle shop thing. It's like the cultivator fights always happen in a noodle shop. And when the main character points that out, everyone pauses for a second and goes, wait a second, they actually do. And one of the other characters, Tigu, is super happy when they finally reach a noodle shop when they're heading to the Dueling Peaks. And she's waiting for the big fight to erupt, and then nothing happens, and she's super disappointed.
Because, like, obviously, like, it's the peak. There has to be a fight.
So she ends up accidentally intimidating everybody into not starting a fight, because originally there was going to be one, and then she's like, wait, where's the fight?
Jesus, damn it. You probably also haven't read it because, again, time, but I thoroughly enjoyed Dead Tired by Ravensdagger.
I've actually read Dead Tired. I read it when it was like years ago now, like 5 years ago.
Ooh. What?
Yeah, Dead Tired was on Space Battles. It was published in like 2018 or something.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
but that's amazing. Huh?
Yeah.
I should ask him about that. But that sounds actually okay. Well, I enjoyed it too. It was good. Thumbs up. So no, because the
all the Papa Bones jokes,
like the Bone Daddy jokes are amazing. Yeah. I love Alex. I love the entire idea of this completely overpowered level 99 lich going around like slapping everyone across the face. And Janja Land just like not being able to cope. As a scholar of literature, I must point out that I do find some of the Eastern versus Western Orientalism conflict a little bit troubling. But my God, it's a friggin' isekai story. It's really funny. It's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, but I would send you a picture of Tigu intimidating everybody accidentally.
So who does is this all like?
This is all by Sue. This is all by my artist. Mm-hmm. We met through a friend, and now she does all the artwork for the books and all the covers. And I have her on retainer for doing a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna ask because you were purposefully vague, but that sounds fun. No.
Yeah.
So
she's really good to work with.
Yeah, I kind of wish I knew. I'm looking for some comic artists right now for another job that I'm preparing for. Nothing for my own stuff, but for some friends. So yeah, it's hard to find people hard to find artists, and I include writers with this. Hard to find artists that you really enjoy working with, whether it be because of like same work ethic or compatibility issues. Yeah, it's hard, and I'm really glad you found someone. Would you in the future, like, because like Nord Flood just like ended randomly Ghost Hound, is there any end in sight for Bear of Chicken, or I just?
So I know how Bear of Chicken ends, but again, getting there is the journey. Mm-hmm. But right now, what's it called? I've got a contract for 7 books, and yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens after that.
It is time. I've done it. I finally launched Genesis of the Sacred Machine, my own little book, in its definitive edition. So, if you want to, you can check it out right now on Royal Road. There's a link below the video. Other than that, I really hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I could use some of your support. Go check out our Patreon, or maybe just leave a like, a follow, or whatever it is on the platform that you're on. Anyway, thank you so much, and let's get on with the show. Do you have any other ideas bumping around in your head that you got like dying to write?
So I actually want to continue because I've written a kind of alternate universe for Beware of Chicken called Soaring Heaven's Isle.
Yeah.
And so in the mainline story, the character's grandfather, Shen Yu, jokes about sending him to the all-female sect, Soaring Heaven's Isle. In the Soaring Heaven's Isle AU, he actually sends him to the Soaring Heaven's Isle. So it's the adventures of the main character in an all-female sect.
I saw that.
Yeah. Except instead of it being kind of like completely harem and stuff, all the ladies are like insanely stronger than him, so he's kind of like, oh crap.
It was really, really good. Like I think when you launched it, I think it stayed on Rising Star Sub 1 for like 3 weeks or something. It was insane. But it's good. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I've got to keep writing that. I haven't written it for like months now.
Oh god, yeah. But okay. I mean, like, there's no chance you're gonna return to your grim ways and bad dice rolls that then turn the grim ways into like good ways, eh?
I don't know. So I've got another story too. It's gonna be kind of like steampunk-esque with like airships and stuff. I've got some, and I'll like that.
Hi, Actus.
For maybe after Beware of Chicken. But
I don't know who it was, but they were also saying like, "Oh, I'm writing some steampunk stuff now." I think Actus might be having his field day because Actus loves steampunk and pirates.
Sky Pirates is the best.
Sky Pirates are the best, exactly. But he didn't really have like, I mean, he wrote Steamforged Sorcery, and like the setting really didn't hook anyone at the time. Mm-hmm. But I think if you guys like planned like a concentrated push, like flooded Rising Stars with like steampunk, they wouldn't have a chance. They would have to read Steampunk Pirates. Oh god, it could be fun. Maybe we can like make a write-a-thon out of it. A write-a-thon, Steampunk Pirates to make actors happy. That could be fun.
Yeah. Okay. After Beware of Chicken, because I don't think I can handle any other projects right now.
Oh no, man! Like yeah, like I've shopped around the new start of Torchbearer, and I'm still like kind of done tinkering with it because I don't want to overstay my welcome with it. Right? It's not going to be a hit. I'm okay with it. But yeah, on the one hand, I really wish I would be done with it, right? Because then I could be writing something else. But on the other hand, I'm like, there's still so many cool scenes that I haven't written yet. Damn it! So
yeah. I've still got lots of Beware of Chicken that I want to get to.
Yeah, because like you keep thinking about it, like oh, this could be cool, or that could be cool, and this could be cool, and that's the beauty of web novels. You just don't have to end if you don't want to, right?
I think there's a point where you overstay your welcome, kind of, and I don't want Beware of Chicken to ever hit that point where you're just like dragging it and like. So Beware of Chicken does have an end. The end is already planned out. I know exactly what's going to happen, and when I reach that point, it's going to end, and then Beware of Chicken will be over. Maybe I'll do like side stories and some aftermath stuff, not involving the main characters, but I don't know.
It's just like Jin wearing a leather jacket, jumping over a shark in a jet ski.
Well, if you read Sora and Kevin's Isle, they jump over a shark in a boat. So.
Oh, what? Damn it, man! I really need to like get into all of these. Like I'm missing so many things. God damn it. Okay, well. In that case, I think the next question I should ask is, well, you talked about the best advice you've ever gotten as a writer, but what's one thing that you learned and that you would do differently now than you were when you started the story?
I would try a lot harder to get a backlog going, honestly.
Yeah.
So there's that. So what I would do differently, there's probably some scenes that I'd rewrite and like plot differently. But overall, I'm like book one. I don't think I would change at all. I think book one to me is basically perfect, and I still can't believe that I actually wrote it. A lot of times I've actually reread parts of it, and I'm just like, I wrote that, huh? I wrote that in like 2 months.
This is like, yeah, that's just like, it happens. Like sometimes like you write this thing and you're like, oh my god, this is beautiful. Yeah. I love those moments. I really do. Always only happen with short stories, never with novels, but I'm really glad that it happened for you.
But otherwise, some plot points I definitely need to refine. Definitely, like... Also, editing has helped me a lot. So, like, I thought... So, never mind, take that back. So, Book 1 web novel was extremely good, but I'm very happy with how I changed it for the official release. So, like, added more stuff, made stuff more clear, and, like, made it so that, like, certain things were foreshadowed a bit better. So, like, in the original Book 1, we get no hint of Washi the Carp until he suddenly just shows up one day. Meanwhile, in the revised Book 1, the main character comments that there's a carp nibbling on his toes when he sticks his feet in the stream. And that's like 30 chapters before Washi actually shows up.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I like that. I didn't read the original when I was on Roy Road. I was inexperienced in the ways of the isekai when that was still on there. But I did get it when you launched it on KU, and so I only read the revised version. And I thought it was really good.
Well, thank you.
I still think so now. Ha! There you go. No, the way you like slowly integrated all the animals, I thought was very well done. And while I was still a bit like, oh wait, what? The fish is also part of it now. It kind of made sense, and I really like them now. And I really liked how you integrated them more, even more so in like book 2. But yeah, pretty good. So aside from like plotting, well, okay. So I should probably specify. You said more of a backlog, right?
Yeah.
Cool. How?
By using my future knowledge of I know how the book exactly can go to write it entirely beforehand. So that I'm less stressed from week to week.
You would write the entire book beforehand? Is that what you're saying?
Probably not. Let's be honest here.
Okay, why not?
Again, I am very, very procrastination prone, and if I don't have to do something, I probably will.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I actually like the idea of writing the complete book and then releasing it, and then writing the second book in the time that it's being released. And if there's a little bit of a pause in between, I'm okay with it. I like that idea.
I actually prefer getting feedback. So the reason why I like writing a web novel is that I actually get feedback in real time, basically.
Oh yeah.
So I have actually changed entire chapters and completely like axed entire chapters and changed them on reader feedback.
Yeah. Joke's on you, I don't have any readers. What?
But yeah, so like one of the characters that's going to come up in if you're reading book 2, have you met Nizan yet? The fox.
I must say I'm bad with names.
So the fox that Yunren meets when he goes to the north of his family?
Yes. And also no. I think there was foreshadowing that's happened there.
Okay, so in the original draft, he dies. So basically what happens is Zhang Li, the body snatcher guy, after Yunren leaves, him and a Strider Mountain Strike Force actually found his den. Because in the one right now, he uses Yunren's technique to hide his den with light instead of shadow, and the Shadow Mountain Sects are using shadow detectors. In the original one, they found his den, and Zhang Li actually kills him, and the only thing that was supposed to be left in his den was the tiny fragment that he gave to Yunren.
Jesus. That's grim.
Yeah, so
bad dice roll.
Yeah, so then I wrote that, and like, I was a little bit unsure of it when I posted it, and then like, I got lots of people like, I guess not unhappy with it, but like, it kind of didn't fit the tone.
Yeah.
And even as I was writing that, I kind of felt like it didn't fit the tone. Because originally that chapter actually was supposed to humanize Liu Ban a little bit as well. But then I realized that he doesn't really need to be humanized. He's a dickhead. He can stay a dickhead. And then instead of Nizan dying, again, the kind of pay kindness forward thing is because Yunaren doesn't want to learn to use illusions to like trick people. He wants to use them to have better photography, basically. And Design finds that hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So Yunaren uses light and basically the truth to show the world as it is on pieces of paper. And so Nazan manages to copy that a bit to hide his den, and then he doesn't get found by the Shroud Mountain sect.
Which is very interesting and very good. Like that's a very cool, like, I like these parts where you kind of manage to hit two birds with one stone, right? Where suddenly like everything really comes together. I like it when I'm system building, because that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I just really like these. Like I like it when these things come together. Like, what can I say? Like, I'm a little bit of like a Hannibal in there, I guess. But so damn, I saw like I really gotta finish up reading book 2. Like, there's stuff to do here. So one of the questions I still have is, you kind of glanced over it, but can you detail your editing process a little bit? Because I think you edited like 3 times.
So for the final official release, that is 4 times editing.
Mm-hmm.
For the day-to-day chapters, is what happens is I write it, and then I send what I'm happy with to what I call the edit squad. They're people who help me edit. They like check for grammar and stuff. But the thing that I want the most for is basically, is this the right direction, and is there any glaring problems that you can see? And so like, they help me with that, and then we edit, and then we post.
Nice.
But for my entire process of writing, it so I write probably 2 to 3 times more than what people actually see. And then what happens is I cut down because I don't want to like take too long and like pad out the word count. I want things to be a bit more concise and to the point. And so I will cut out probably twice that of what I write, or I've written a section and then I completely rewrite it from a different perspective. And then for dialogue, sometimes it takes me like 12 iterations to get dialogue that I'm happy with.
Yeah,
because I dislike writing dialogue. And the thing is that I read it over and over to make sure it's not stilted, because my biggest peeve in fiction is stilted dialogue.
Yeah.
And like I can't really explain it to people, but when you read it, you know it's stilted, and you know that these people aren't talking like people.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that gets me to drop stories, is when it's got heavily stilted dialogue like that. I cannot keep reading it. So I want to avoid that as much as possible for Beware of Chicken.
I have one recommendation if you want to start getting good at it, and that's watching the Mitchell and Webb sketch called People Person. Where there's like this guy who thinks he's good with people, and David Mitchell just like completely demolishes him in this sketch. It is really, really good, and it also like teaches you that saying another person's name the entire time is really creepy, and you shouldn't be doing that. Because I'm not saying like write casual. That's what I agree. Casual, like, it doesn't do that. Like, no one does that in dialogue, and for me, it's always a movie in my head, which is like good and also bad.
Yeah, that's actually the same for me. It's like when I write Beware of Chicken, it's like I'm watching a movie inside my head.
Do you also struggle with like place descriptions? Because I do.
A little bit. I think I've gotten better, but sometimes it's because like you can see it in your head. So it's less place descriptions and more actions, because I can see what they're doing in my head, and oftentimes it's fairly complex. But like putting that to writing is hard. Like, especially when the character like jumps up to stand on somebody's sword and like runs across it and like kicks somebody in the face, and then you have to describe how they jump on the sword, run across it, and they kick somebody in the face.
I like those things. Those are nice. But for me, it's like it's the scene setting. It's the making the world feel alive. Like, it's not my biggest issue. My biggest issue is pacing and like plot direction. But that is still one thing that I wish I could do better. Just describing the place, and describing the place not just once, but like keep adding little details in in descriptions of actions that make the place feel more alive. That's something I still want to learn.
I think I do pretty well with that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
well, at least people told me I do pretty well with that. So, yeah.
I don't know. Like, any tips?
I think the biggest tip I have is look at lots of places. So, like, I think the reason why I'm like I can describe things pretty well is because like I both read a lot of places that and fantasy stories that have a lot of place descriptions, and I read a lot of manga, and like I read a lot of webtoons. So I read those more than I read like writing, because to me that's not really reading, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have to like focus on the text. So like I see the fantastical places that the artists have drawn, and then I try to describe them to myself, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So like
That makes sense.
you see this like the sweeping vista with like the giant mountain split in two for like what's called the dueling peaks, and like the dueling peak is actually partially based on Legend of Zelda. So there's actually a place in Legend of Zelda called the Dueling Peaks, and it's a mountain that's split in two.
Oh,
But
nice.
then I took it and I made it Zhanja, so it's like 10 times the size. It's got an arena that can fit 100,000 people in it, and the arena gets pulled up the mountain in between it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense. As one does.
yeah.
Like we were talking earlier also about the word count, right? You like delete a lot of stuff. I think I'm the opposite. I take a lot longer per word. Like I think a lot about what I want to write, and then I just write it. And then I don't delete all that much. I still don't have enough in there, so I need to like edit one more time and like go through it and add stuff because it's just like not clear enough. So it's weird how people like different. But it's also fun.
I think the other thing that you really have to pay attention to is how the landscape changes the people.
Yes.
So like again, the people from the Misty Lake, they've got like the traditional Chinese boating hat on, and they've got like different robes, and like they speak slightly different. And in describing the place, you describe the people, and in describing the people, you describe the place, is kind of the thing. So you kind of have to. So what I try to think of is, what would they have to make their life easier in this place that they live? So like the people from the Grand Ravine all have a kind of rope dagger thing that they use to swing along the trees that grow horizontally out of the side of the Grand Ravine. So it's like everybody has that, or like Yunren and Goren's mother's tribe, they all have, lots of them have like scarves or like warm headbands because they live in a colder place.
Yeah,
And
makes sense.
It's yeah. So I guess it's taking time on the little things that makes the world feel really alive. So like again, like even just mentioning that the people have these things is something that will make your world more immersive.
Yeah, that's true. And now we're getting at the point where we're saying like you just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's I think this should be part of like my second editing pass. Like before I write and then I add stuff, and while I'm adding stuff I might as well, like look at, is this enough detail? Should I add some more? Is this alive enough? Like, so, I think this could be like a cool next project to like.
I think the places that you visit should be done in your conception phase.
Okay.
So like when you're creating the plot and you have kind of like places that they want to visit, the places that they want to visit and the world that they visit should be fleshed out before they get there, ideally. So like
I like discovering this, but okay.
So like when I was doing the Dueling Peaks, it's basically the Cultivator Olympics for the Azure Hills. So they've got a lot of buildings, but not a lot of people actually technically live there, right? So I've got to like a lot of places are abandoned. The mountain itself is like crumbling and old because all the protections. So it's like the Shrouded Mountain is a massive Shanja arena that's been hit by a cataclysm, and none of the stuff works anymore. So before it had like an anti-gravity lift to lift the arena, but now the cultivators themselves have to pull the arena up the mountain with chains. So you kind of have to make the entire place that they've visited before they get there. But as they
Yeah.
get there, they can discover new things, and as you get good ideas, you can go, "Oh, we can do that."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
So, like,
totally agree with you. Like, yeah,
you
because
should
some of
also
it also like.
you should also have like reference pictures for yourself. So like it's
Oh yeah.
like it's this, it's this, it's this, and then you describe it to yourself in your head, and then when you finally get to writing it, then you can accurately put it to the page.
I'm also thinking about like adding little like short descriptions, just a grab bag of them, like setting a theme. Because like in Torchbearer Alpha, it was all hot and rage and anger,
Mm-hmm.
and then Torchbearer 2, it's all like very cold and distant, and also, so there's going to be like a flying city that regularly gets overrun by zombies every night. But there's also a huge wall around them, and there's like a breach in the wall, like that kind of shit, right? Because it kind of all needs to fit together for the story, right? Because the setting is such an integral part of the story. If I mean, like, we're not just writing anyone anywhere doing anything. We are writing about fantastical things happening in fantastical worlds, and these fantastical worlds can, of course, just be a backdrop. But I wouldn't recommend that to anyone, because I think,
So I think the other
it's good.
thing too is the focus on vision that gets people. You need to describe a place in all five senses. So like, let's take the city. It's broken into and overrun by zombies, so you can smell the rotting meat in the air. The air might be slightly like humid. You can feel it condensing on your face, and it's disgusting. It's slimy, right?
Yeah. It's fall, and like everything smells like dead leaves and like smoke. So yeah. Also, gas, like exhaust fumes, and everything's kind of cold, and everyone's like walking around with like their coats like a little bit tight and stuff like that. Like conceptually, I know all these things. It's just I forget when I'm writing. Like that's my issue. So I do think like you're completely right. You have to know these places, or at least have a very good idea of what they could be like before you start writing. Because if you're just discovering everything, then it's kind of hard. I discovered this the hard way in the first Torchbearer, because I thought the city was way smaller than it actually was, because it was just supposed to be like a really, really short, like 5-chapter intro, right?
Yeah.
But then it has like, it was chapter 16, it was still going through the city. I'm like, okay, the city has to be like way bigger. So in the rewrite, I fixed all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. What can I say? Do you want to talk about one book that you love, and why is it awesome?
One book that I love, and why is it awesome? I need to think about this for a second.
Yeah, sure.
One book that I love, and why is it awesome? Because so the problem with me sometimes is that as soon as somebody asks a question, all the related knowledge just goes completely out of my head, and then it's just like, oh god, I know the answer to this question, but where is it? I'm literally looking at my bookshelf right now, probably staring at one of the books that I really like, and it's just like, do I actually like you?
I mean, you have it, so
yeah.
to go around.
So one of the books that there we go. That was the name of the Edge, I think. The Edge Chronicles, actually. Have you read the Edge Chronicles?
The Edge Chronicles.
So it's actually I read it. I started reading it back in like.
Oh wait! I think I might have. I think they called it differently in German.
Where it's got the kind of cliff sticking out over the edge of the world.
Yeah. In German, they called it Twig after the.
After the main character Twig.
Hmm.
So that is one of the things that kind of informed my world building, and I love the kind of visceral descriptions of the places. It's a young adult series, and it's got like art in it. But I started reading it when it first came out, and I absolutely loved the visceral descriptions, the strange animals, and the strange places.
I read that book, and that traumatized me for life.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really, really good. It's just like I think I was too young when I read it, so for me
because it is very dark. Like the wigwigs, the bouncing bowling balls that eat the bear.
Yeah, and like this like weird forest where like these fumes that make you like hypnotize you and just kind of like keep you in the forest forever.
Yeah.
and they like give you dreams of something that you want to have, and then people just like get lost in that thing forever.
Yeah. Or they
And of course,
finally,
like people just like dropping off the cliff.
yeah, or they finally get to the mire, and then one of the characters just straight up gets their throat slit by a mire goblin,
Yeah, it's like
and dragged into the muck, and it's just like, yeah.
Yep. And there was like this one page where they're in the forest and they just kind of had to like crash land there with their airship, and they find this like knight, because this forest also like preserves people, like they can be like
Yeah.
millions of years old, but still like they're still in there, right?
Yeah.
And then they find this knight, and I turn the page, and it's like this like full page of like this like decrepit knight with like almost undead, and that scarred me for life.
That was a fantastic book series. I really really enjoyed it, and I've got them all on my shelf right now.
Yeah, it's actually it is really really good. It basically follows this like family, almost like almost a family chronicle.
Yeah,
in some ways.
It's got Twig. It's got not Vorinclex. I forget his name. No, the Vorinclex is a magic card. But yeah, I mostly did the Twig series.
Yeah, the original one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like oh my god, there's so many books now.
Yeah.
Jeebus crikey. Yeah, I mean, everything is kind of about like an era coming to an end, and it's like all like semi-depressing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, there's that.
But it is a very good book.
Yeah, and then there's the Airborne series by Kenneth Oppel, which I quite enjoyed. Which is basically the main character is on a airship called the Aurora for the first one, and it's Victorian steampunk-esque, and then they like crash land on an island, and like it's got all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, okay, I can see it. Yeah, Kenneth Oppel.
Yeah, so the reason why I read this is Kenneth Oppel's Canadian, so we got like read this Canadian author in school, and then I ended up actually really liking it.
Yeah, could be like if he was like if he was a Michigander, it could be like Kenneth Opel.
Yeah.
But probably not. Sorry, Michigander joke. That being said, do you have any more shoutouts?
Do I have any shoutouts? I don't know. Honestly, I haven't really read any new fiction for a very long time now.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like you can just shout out your friends.
Shout out my friends. Well, shout out to Sue. Thank you for doing all the art. Shout out to Sue for doing all the art. And well, actually, I lied. The thing that I'm reading right now is actually a fanfic by a guy called Broseph, and he writes. I think he could very very easily do a book series. His writing style is very good. And also shout out to Sage of Eyes, who is doing a one on space battles called Apocalypse Reborn. I quite enjoy it. So basically, it's about 4X games.
Yeah.
So basically, it's about a guy who is reincarnated into his favorite 4X game, except it's called Ancient Apocalypse, and like it's complete shit. So the world's going to end, and so he's constantly he is like fiended this game and knows the good options, but also like the world is a complete crap sack.
Oh no. But yeah.
Shit. It's quite fun. Sage is actually publishing that one, I think. Actually, no, I think Sage is in the process of publishing that one.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
should. Because I mostly read on Kindle these days because it's just easier to have it with you on the train or whatever. Because like I mean like the Royal Road app is also cool, right? Do you? Yeah, I mean, while you're here, I think I would also like shout out Heretical Fishing. I think Haylock will have released his book 3 at this point, and it's got the same like kind of cozy vibes as Brew of Chicken. So yeah, might be good for you people who like it. Any hoozle. Well, this has been the main podcast. Did it hurt?
Only mildly painful.
Note to self: more puns next time. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Who says the Germans don't have a sense of humor?
I don't know. You know the joke, right? How many Germans does it take to change a light bulb?
I think one. Or what was
Yeah,
it?
one. We are very efficient and we don't have humor.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening and or watching. This has been the one, the only, and amazing Casual Farmer. If you want to support the podcast, just clicking like and clicking follow and leaving a comment already helps a ton. But you can also check out my Patreon that allows me to actually have an editor, so I don't need to spend every single Saturday editing these things. I love it, don't get me wrong, but I also would love to have my Saturdays. Yeah. Any last words?
Well, good luck on all your endeavors, everybody, and may your viewer counts increase.
Just do it. And
Yes, just do
you too, cattle farmer, will at some point be a pro farmer. I'm quite sure.
Oh no, I think I'll stick with being casual.
Dirty casual. I mean, like, is there any way to be like a casual farmer without being dirty?
I don't think so. That was actually my original screen name, but like everybody started taking dirty casual.
Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you very much for listening and watching again. And I will see you next time.
Have a good day,
And
everybody.
if you're on Patreon, the show goes on.